Thank you so much, Jessica, for meeting with me today. I know that you had some concerns. Can you tell me a little bit about what's going on?
Yes, so recently I lost my job.
Mm-hmm.
I had been on my job for over 3 years, and just some different changes and them cutting out different programs, I ended up losing my job. And because of that, it put me behind on my rent. And so now I was served with the eviction notice,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been trying to find another job, just trying to get back, on track with things. But without having, it's just me and my kids here. It's just my twins, Mason and Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
So without having family support, or just knowing what alleyways to take to get back on track, finding a job, or just assistance for helping me with the rent and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
it's been really hard.
Yeah, I know that can be a little overwhelming when you're trying to navigate so many things. But thank you so much for coming in here and talking with me and sharing with me, what's going on. And I want to be able to kind of help you navigate. What I hear you saying is you're talking about you received a disciplinary notice for an eviction, that you're here, which is you and your children, so you don't have family support. And I know also that can be overwhelming, searching for a job and parenting and all those many
Yes.
moving pieces, things that are happening. But again, I want you to know that your resilience is showing now that you're here, that you're willing to try to find resources and make sure that you and your family are secure. So thank you so much for coming and sharing with me today.
Of course, thank you as well.
So tell me about what you have done so far.
So when I received, before I received the eviction notice, I had reached out to my landlord, and I just was kind of just going over telling him about what was going on. I'm trying to figure out my options there first, just kind of starting there. And he did tell me he gave me an extension, but told me that by March the 15th, everything, including the late fees, had to be paid. I don't know if I have that by that date. So I did also, because of that, I did go ahead and call Athens area homeless shelter. And when I spoke to the lady there, she told me that as of right now, for the three of us, they're full. They wouldn't be able to take all three of us right now. So that's kind of like where I am. It's either paid that by the 15th, or I don't know what else. What other options.
Yeah, but it seems like you definitely have, taken some steps to try to resolve this matter for you and your
Yes.
family. And I do want to be here, to try to help you with that and find some rental assistance if that's okay with you.
Thank you.
And talk about some other potential housing options just in case that doesn't work out for you. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I know we've talked about some of those rental assistance options. We're going to go over that with you, okay?
Okay.
And so,
Cause I don't know any. I've never been in that in that situation. I've always tried to work to make sure that I was keeping a roof over all of our heads, but I don't know any. The only thing I found, the Athens area homeless shelter on Google. But like I said, this is my first time, so I don't know any of the resources. So I really appreciate that.
Yes, no problem. So I know that we're talking about Athens Area Homeless Shelter as far as the shelter portion, but they also have, they provide financial assistance as well. They have a prevention program, and so with that program, as you can see here, with that program, they have, they can provide up to this amount to assist you and your family. We also have the ARC. They are another financial assistance program as well that can assist with rental assistance and also utilities. And so what they do is you'll have to call them at this number here, and then they'll do an intake with you. Both of those are the same. They'll also have to do an intake as well at the Athens Area Homeless Shelter. Typically, they accept walk-ins on Monday. So if you're available to do that on this Monday, then that would be a great option for you to try and get some assistance through them.
Yes, I can do that.
Do you have any questions so far about those two programs I've told you about?
No.
Okay. So then we also have Family Promise, and so Family Promise also does housing as well for those who are needing assistance. And so again, they have prevention funds as well. And so what they're trying to do, they want people to be able to stay in their homes,
Right.
And so that is why these programs offer the prevention funding to make sure that people can stay in their homes. But also you may consider as well some of the other places. So we have like Salvation Army, they do utility assistance. So do you have any utilities as well?
I do. Yes.
So, you know, you may also reach out to them. That could free up some of the monies as well,
Okay.
that you are having to pay for utilities, for your rent as well. So that way you can also kind of be able to, you know, navigate as well,
Right.
around some of that, if possible.
Okay.
So these are just some of the programs that we're talking about. And then, do you have any questions about the resources I provided you so far?
No.
Okay. So thank you so much. I know we've talked about some other things, and you've talked about, you know, your you know, rental assistance being your priority. You've talked about some of the other things as well, as far as searching for a job, and then also, you know, parenting as well. So tell me, we've talked about the rental assistance. Tell me next, what would be the second like goal that you would want to work toward?
I guess outside of the resources, I definitely want to secure a job, just so that I'm not in this position again. And I think maybe more so like financial, like money management too, because I feel though is if I did have money in my savings or just in case, because if I had lost my job, but still was saving at the same time, then I would have at least had 30 days or, you know, a month's worth of rent in this, you know, I just feel like I kind of didn't, you know, just manage my money properly when I was working. So I think those would be my next goals.
Well, I think those are wonderful goals to have and to try to work toward, you know, financial literacy and ensuring that, you know, that you are building that savings. So if something happens, emergencies happen to all of us. And so, you know, that no one is exempt from that. So I definitely understand how we're always trying to work to do better, trying to make sure that we have, you know, those resources just in case we have any issues. So I will provide you with some additional resources. We've talked about that as well. So what we have right here is the Goodwill Career Services, and so they provide a lot of support services around employment. Now, as far as a resume or any of those things, if you need to update your resume, so they're a good resource. And of course, here it talks about, you know, the days that they're open, and then also employment assistance as well with People Ready. They are good if you're looking for. They are like a day labor, and so they are really good about, you know, having opportunities, daily opportunities, but they pay you the same day. So these may be some good resources as well for you to kind of tap into that can kind of help you with that as well.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I think I may do both of those. Go to the Goodwill as far as resume because I definitely need to update that.
So do you have any other questions about what I've just provided you? I know that, you know, we've talked about a lot of stuff today, and sometimes it can be kind of overwhelming, you know, and especially, you know, as you mentioned about your anxiety and your depression. And so have you reached out to any resources in regards to that as well?
No, not besides, like I said, the Athens Area Homeless Shelter. I don't know any of the other resources, so I haven't reached out to anyone else as of now.
Is that something that you want to work on today as far as me providing some resources for mental health? Okay.
Definitely.
So we do have another place here. I know you mentioned about losing your job, so I know when we're talking about, you know, finances and having to pay for, you know, some of the doctors, this is a good resource right here. This is Advantage Behavioral Health Systems. Okay, so this is the phone number here, and it just kind of tells you about their eligibility. So you must have Medicare or Medicaid. Have you applied for any of those programs?
My children receive Medicaid, but I have insurance, but it's not those. But my it's an embedded program, so it's not the Medicare or Medicaid. But my kids have the Medicaid.
Okay. Well, what we can look at, you know, since they don't have it, we can also look at some additional resources. But this is a good resource for you to have as well, because you can also apply, you know, for financial assistance as well through, you know, through the Department of Family and Children's Services, as far as for medical insurance that will help you as well. And then this is one of those programs that you can do the walk-in. They're on Mondays, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. They just come to the days that they're open. It also tells you about, you know, the address is here. So it just gives you more information about this program as well. Do you have any questions about that?
I don't.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you so much, for talking with me today. I know we've talked about a lot, and I provided you with a wealth of resources, but I'm always here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just always here if you have any questions about any of these programs, if you need help navigating these programs. We can actually sit now and call some of these programs and get on their list, if that's something that you want to do as well.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, well, we'll call them, and then that way I can do the referral. I'll send the referral over for the other programs that I talked to you about.
Mm-hmm.
So that way you'll be able to, and then you'll just follow up with them once you're on the list.
Okay.
Okay?
And will they need to see like the eviction notice or anything like what would it?
They may ask, yes,
Okay.
they will definitely ask for some of that documentation.
Okay.
They'll ask for the dispossessary notice. Sometimes they're gonna also ask you for, income,
Okay.
to show, for you to show, some pay stubs
The ones
or,
I have, okay.
yeah, you have all that information.
I have my
Okay.
pay stubs for when I was working, so yes.
Okay.
And I was just asking that, so I do have to have, this was what, I didn't submit my response yet to the
Mhm.
courts for the dispossessary, but it does have to be turned in by the 24th, but that's what I've done, like, put so far. I
Okay.
just included why I lost my job, and then
Uh-huh.
also, just put some of the things that, that I was struggling with and that I did try to reach out to the landlord. So
Okay.
this has to go in by the 24th. So with those resources that you gave me, along with all of this, I'm hoping that I could just keep my place.
Mhm.
We're just gonna keep my fingers crossed, but
Yeah.
we'll
Well,
start where you have, we'll start with the resources that you gave me first. I really appreciate that.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. So let's just kind of recap what we talked about today. So you're going to make sure that you submit your response to the dispossessary by Monday, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then also that I'm going to then send over the referral for these programs
Yes.
for rental assistance, and then you're going to follow up with them just to go through that process
Yes.
with them. And then we've also talked about some other resources for employment,
Mhm.
and then I've given you some resources for as far as for talking with the mental health counselor about some of the stress and anxiety that you've been feeling with all of this stuff that's going on.
Yes.
Okay, does that sound like a plan?
It does. It makes
Okay.
me feel a little bit better, not so on edge, kind of having a plan and knowing what you have to do makes you feel a lot better. Just
Yeah.
having a plan to what, just working towards these things. So
It does.
yes, it makes me feel better.
So we can follow up. Do you want to follow up in like a week?
That's fine. Yes.
Okay. Well, I want to make sure that you have my card so that way you'll know how to get in contact with me.
Okay.
And then I'll go ahead and schedule an appointment to meet with you. When we say a week, what about Monday the 24th? I have availability on Monday the 24th. Does that work for you?
Yes. So it will. When I take my response, I'm gonna take that on Monday as well, just so I can meet with you after I leave the courthouse.
Okay.
And taking that.
I have a 2 p.m.
That's perfect because I'll
Okay.
go as soon as the courthouse opens. I can do 2 p.m.
Okay, so we'll plan to meet next Monday at 2 p.m. after you file your response to the dispossessary, and then we can follow up on any other questions. But in the meantime, do not hesitate if you have any questions to give me a call here, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you so much for meeting
Thank
with me.
you. Thank you so much. I'll see you on Monday.
See you Monday.
All right.